Good morning from Luxor, Egypt. Today is our first full day exploring. We're on the west bank and we have to cross to the east bank. So let's show you the best things to do here in Luxor. We are here at Karnak Temple. It was built in 2005 BC, which means that it's over 4,000 years old. And fun fact, it actually took 1,600 years to be built. You'll see at the very entrance there is a line of rams. These rams represent the god Amun-Ra, who they were built for. Remember the Sphinx, how it was a lion body and a human head? Well, these statues are actually a lion body with a ram's head, which represents strength and fertility. These are the three chapels of the god Amun-Ra, his wife, and his son, and they actually stored boats in here and they would have a ceremony.
This important ceremony was called the Opet Festival, and it happened every year when the Nile flooded. During this festival, priests would carry statues of the sun god and his wife and son from Karnak Temple all the way to Luxor Temple, which is about 2 miles away. They would carry these boats with the religious statues along an avenue which had over 1,300 sphinxes. And finally, after 70 years of restoration, the Avenue of Sphinxes has just relinked Karnak and Luxor temples in 2021.
This is Ahmad. He's gonna decipher these hieroglyphics right here.
Each name in ancient time has 5 names. This is the lotus flower. Half Egyptian loaf bread. It's called T in alphabet. This is mean Upper Egypt. B, if we added the letter T in alphabet, Biti. This is mean Lower Egypt. So the king of Upper and Lower Egypt.
Something that we thought was really fascinating were these columns. As you can see, the very last one here is unfinished, but it shows you how the rest of the columns were built. Basically, they're just blocks stacked up upon each other, and then they're carved into a perfect, beautiful column. I don't know why they didn't finish that last one, but it's kind of cool because now we see what the before and after is like.
Right here is a mud ramp. These are mud bricks layered on top of each other. It's a slope so workers can get up and build these massive structures. We just arrived in hypostyle. This is the largest religious building in the entire world, and it's over 54,000 square feet with exactly 134 columns, and it's absolutely massive.
I mentioned earlier how the Nile used to flood here. In 1971, they finished building a dam where the Nile no longer floods, obviously. If you can see these columns that are made of sandstone rock, they were actually all colorful, but because of the Nile flooding, it would wash away over time. Now, if you look at the very, very top, you can still see some color, and it's super stunning.
On each wall throughout this entire building are inscriptions on all these columns. You have hieroglyphics. Ahmed's telling us all the different stories and explaining each one in so much depth. It is just mind-blowing.
So a lot of people think this temple was just a place for religion, but there are actually many reasons people came here, and one of them was to teach kids mathematics. I'm sure you've all heard of Roman numerals, but here we have Egyptian numbers. This little rainbow is 10, and this swirly is 100. So you can see this is 128. Over here is 450. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 48. I think it's really cool. We went to the Egyptian Museum in Cairo and learned some basic knowledge, and then came here and actually saw it with our own eyes. But I'm gonna tell you guys a little story about Hatshepsut. She was queen that was a king. Basically, she stole the throne from her stepson when the dad died. Didn't think people would respect her unless she acted as a king. She's the only queen whose tomb lays in the Valley of the Kings, not the Valley of Queens. I respect her, but then when she died, her stepson really did not like her. Like, he just tried to ruin everything of hers. She's the only one left with 2 obelisks standing. These are the towers behind me. When people saw this structure, they knew it was a religious building because it points all the way to the top to the sun god. It all kind of comes together. They're one piece of granite, which I said is hard to believe, but yes, it's true. One whole piece. We see this symbol all over Egypt, and we finally learned what it represents. This represents the Nile, the longest river in the world, and here is where the Nile branches into 2, the delta, and this represents Ra, which is the sun god. So altogether, it means the key of life.
There's 3 World Heritage Sites in Luxor. First is the Karnak Temple, where we are right now. You have the Valley of the Kings, and then next we are heading to Luxor Temple. drove 2 minutes down the street to Luxor Temple. This is way less crowded. It's still really, really beautiful. Something cool at the entrance here is that there's 2 obelisks. One is still here and the other one is missing. The one that is missing was given to France in 1836, and to transport it, they had to cut it up, sail down the Nile through the Mediterranean to get to France, and right now it is standing in Paris. Something cool after this Jordan and Egypt trip, we're heading to France and Italy, so we'll be able to see that obelisk in Paris. So right here we have King Ian and Queen Anna. Mohammed's helping Anna tie the scarf around her head.
Wish I did this
Look
sooner.
at you, man. It's looking good, Mohammed. So why did the kings and queens of ancient Egypt to make sure to put all these inscriptions on the walls of temples and buildings? Well, first of all, it was to pay homage to the gods, and it was also kind of propaganda for them because they knew future humans would be able to see these great buildings, and it showed just how great the ancient Egyptians were. I highly recommend getting a guide no matter where you are in Egypt. They're about $35. They're just gonna make sure the scam artists and the hagglers aren't bothering you all day at every single temple. They're also gonna teach you so much knowledge. It's kind of overwhelming.
Over time, this will all go away just due to weather. So the University of Chicago is making documents, copying all the drawings in case it does go away, that they have proof that this was here. But how sad is that it might not be here? I'm glad I got to see it.
Right behind me is the Avenue of Sphinxes, and this is what connects Karnak Temple to Luxor Temple, and it's about 2,700 meters in between each one. Just seeing how many sphinxes are lined up on this road, it looks like an infinity as it keeps going down forever and ever. So Mohammed, what is your favorite temple or area, museum in Egypt?
Hatshepsut Temple.
That's in
The West Bank.
the West Bank in the Valley of the Kings.
Yes.
After finishing up our time on the East Bank, we stumbled upon tons of abused and starving horses. Seeing this throughout Egypt was really devastating, and we want to keep showing it in our videos to spread the word, and hopefully the Egyptian government does something about it soon.
Good, thank you for making us up. Come on, Ali.
Oh, he used his hand.
Funny story, we didn't know where to stay in Luxor, so we asked our friends Austin and Amanda. We met them in Greece, if you remember them from that video. They recommended Luxor Guest House, and we couldn't be happier because we met Ali and the crew here. They are the nicest people ever. This place has hot water, Wi-Fi that's unbelievable, and a great view right on the Nile, so I can't recommend it enough. We're not sponsored in this video by them. We just love it here, and now we're gonna go on a boat ride with 2 new friends we just met last night. Excited to share who that is.
The other day, a really cute travel couple reached out asking if they wanted to hang out because they were in Egypt too. We met Claire and Chad. They also do YouTube.
We're Chad and Claire, and we've been traveling the world for about 6 months now, and before that we were living in a van for a whole year, actually the same one as Ian and Anna. Who would have thought?
Which is wild.
That tiny thing.
Yeah, and so recently we bought ourselves a home so that we have a home base when we're not traveling.
We don't meet that many creators a lot of the time, and it's awesome to meet people on the road that do YouTube. We love our YouTubers.
Yeah.
Claire, what was your favorite part of Luxor so far?
It's probably the hot air balloon ride because I've never done it before, and because drones aren't allowed here in Egypt, we were able to get some overview shots and just see the land from above, which was just really amazing.
That's a great answer. Chad, are you gonna follow this
Oh
up?
gosh, I think my favorite part has been our rooftop view of this entire river and watching the sunset each night. It's been incredible.
The West Bank is where it's at. I really like the people at our Luxor house. They've made our time very fun. We still have another day here doing a lot of stuff tomorrow, so I can't pick yet.
I like the Karnak Temple, those giant pillars. We headed back there this morning just to get some extra shots. Probably shouldn't have spent that money. It was an extra $20. Ali, what's your favorite part about Luxor?
The Timber Karnak.
Karnak, so
Yeah.
the same answer as me.
Yeah.
All right.
Ian says I look like a crackhead this morning. We're just gonna ignore that. Right now we're having breakfast at our hotel. It's complimentary, which is amazing. Got some cheese, beans, pita bread, coffee. Sadly, we were supposed to be doing a hot air balloon ride this morning, but it got canceled because it was too windy. I don't think we're gonna end up doing it just because Ian and I have been in 2 hot air balloons in our life. We've gone to Laos and done it, in Cappadocia, which is like the best place in the world to do it. Our friends Chad and Claire did the hot air balloon and they loved it. It was their first time. Today we're going to be exploring the Valley of the Kings. We still got Mo as our tour guide today. We're very excited. There are 64 tombs here. A little bit of history. The pyramids of Giza were actually used to bury kings in the Old Kingdom. But there were a lot of problems with that. They were such an obvious point for robbers to come explore, maybe find some gold and excavate the pyramids. The New Kingdom kings were like, we're gonna go somewhere else, and they chose this spot here in Luxor because of the hidden opportunities to build tombs in the mountain. There's still a pyramid up at the top representing and following the tradition of the Egyptian history. If you guys have seen Night at the Museum, which is one of my favorite movies, you'll see Prince or King Akhmenra, and that's not a real pharaoh or anything, but his character is actually based off of King Tut, who was a very young king and died young as well.
And that is his tomb, which is very cool.
For over 1,000 years, kings, queens, and nobles were buried in these mountains. These tombs were cut into limestone rock, and some reached more than 200 meters into the mountain. It was definitely crazy going down into these tombs, especially with how packed it was midday. You get to see 3 tombs with your general admission pass, but to see more, you'll have to pay an extra $10 to $30 per tomb, so make sure you check into that before arriving.
Mo just asked us a very interesting question. How did the ancient Egyptians build these tombs with no light? My answer was fire. I thought they brought like torches in, but then that would create smoke. The right answer is that they used mirrors. So they would place mirrors outside the tomb, and there was one mirror inside that would light everything up from the sun. After 2 amazing tours with Mohammed, I can't recommend him enough. I'll put his WhatsApp number down in the description below so you could contact him directly. But let me tell you, he has 10 years of being a tour guide here. He knows more than anyone else, and he'll just take good care of you. He's so nice. Right here is Ahmed. He is the owner of Luxor Guest House, and he was gracious enough to show us how they make sun bread here in Egypt. It's a famous type of bread. Right now it's out in the sun, and this is how it makes the yeast rise.
2 hours will be here. It's flour from our wheat, salt, water. So this bread, it goes really backward. It could be like maybe 3,000 years.
This is recycled material from farming.
No, this is egg cartons.
Oh, egg cartons?
Yes.
Okay. That is a super smart way to reuse egg cartons. Not only does Ahmed own the hotel, he has a farm over here. He has a carpenter business where he uses these trees right here and he makes them into these chairs and sells them. Look how nice these are. Got the knife, chisel. What is this? Hammer.
Acacia wood. I use the green one. I cut a lot of pieces like this, different size. I take the skin out. So now I can make hole through. I put the dry one through the green one now.
Okay.
So that's how I join them together. When I finish what I'm doing, chair or table, whatever, then I'll leave them under the sun to dry.
And then he's also a tour guide here in Luxor.
Yes, I am a tour guide. I study Egyptologist 4 years in university. I speak English, German, and French too.
My gosh, so it's a one-stop shop. If you come on this bank of Luxor, he's gonna take good care of you. And that's a wrap in Luxor. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and got a ton of value out of it. In our next video, we're gonna be heading to the Red Sea to swim with dolphins. This was by far the most amazing experience we've ever had. We will see you in the next one. Woot woot, yip yip, riba riba riba, whoop.